Let's rank every U.S. state based on how good their college football teams were in 2025, picking up where we left off at number 30 with Idaho. Boise State putting the state on their back with the conference title and an overall solid season, even if it was disappointing by their standards. Idaho and Idaho State didn't contribute much. Next up is Hawaii. With the Rainbow Warriors being the only football team in the state, they had a solid year and therefore get a decent ranking. Next up is the state of Florida, which had a stunningly bad year in college football. Yes, Miami was the runners-up in the national title game, but outside of that, there was not much positivity. Nobody else outside of South Florida made a bowl game this year, and if it weren't for Miami's run, they'd be much lower. Nebraska is another one of those single-team states, with the Cornhuskers being the only ones there. They had a solid year. They made a bowl game in the Big Ten, and they're recognized for that. Minnesota, on the other hand, had the Golden Gophers, who got a head-to-head win over Nebraska, had a better year in the Big Ten, and then there's the Tommies, who had a decent year in the FCS level, and that gets them up to 26. At 25 is where Oklahoma checks in, with the Sooners carrying the state in this case. They make the CFP. They had an overall successful season. If it weren't for Oklahoma State being one of the worst power conference teams and Tulsa being a disaster, this state would have been a lot higher. Pennsylvania had an up and down year, with Temple being surprisingly good and Pitt being solid as usual, and Penn State just completely flopping this season. If it weren't for their collapse, this state could have been a lot higher. Next up is Missouri, which welcomed their second FBS program this year with Missouri State, and for the Tigers and Bears, it was decent seasons for both of them. The state of Washington saw a solid year by the Cougars and a solid year by the Huskies, both teams winning bowl games, and that's enough for a positive ranking. At 21 is the state of Oregon, where you've got the Ducks carrying the lion's share of the load on this one because they were a top 5 team in college football this year. Oregon State was a disaster and one of the worst teams in the sport. So the fact that they got this high, it's a testament to what the Ducks did. But go ahead and like for the next part where we will be getting into the top 20.